Hi everybody, welcome back to another edition of Grouse Theater Maulers. I'm Dave Forrest, and this is my good friend
Harvey Lowe.
And in today's episode, we're talking
about a Blenheim.
A
Blenheim Mark I.
A Mark I Blenheim.
By Airfix in Japanese markings.
In 48 scale.
In 48 scale.
Well.
Yes.
Leave it to Harvey Lowe.
I will show you the whole journey of this model, which is really a basic
famous British bomber.
In Japanese
markings.
Right, so really, no, it happened, and I have photos to prove it. So when we come back, I'll show you the finished product. And by the way, Dave hasn't seen the model yet, so we'll just bring it out in all its glory for him to criticize, admire it.
I'll be judging it harshly.
Okay,
can't wait.
Back. Okay.
Well, that is impressive.
You haven't seen it?
I have not seen it.
I honestly don't know how I would react to looking at this color scheme, because it totally, even as it's a piece that I did, it looks very unusual to my eye. Almost as if it's kind of like a never existed type of what if.
It's quite big.
The Blenheim in 48th, yeah, it is.
Surprisingly, just for
compared to your.
So let's bring the Focke-Wulf back.
Focke-Wulf out.
Look at the
size.
Look at the size.
And don't forget, these aircraft fought against fighters.
Yes.
Right?
Early in the war.
Early in the war. So I don't think that they were that maneuverable as an aircraft.
Well, they were more night fighters, right? They were more fighters, for intercepting bombers.
Yeah.
I don't think they were ever meant to
light bombers.
Yeah.
But we'll go through this project, really more so the unusual markings than the model itself, because there's a lot already on Facebook on the Airfix Blenheim, but I can tell you some of the parts that I struggled with the model. There were some, but it is.
So this was. So let's talk about this.
Let's talk about this.
So this was the subject. Yeah. So this was a captured British Blenheim in the Pacific Theater by the Japanese.
Right.
That they repurposed and put back into operations, or was this just to kind of to evaluate?
Well, they don't know for sure. They don't know if they actually used them in combat. There's no record to say that. But towards the end of the war, they did use them. Not the Japanese, but in the Civil War, towards the end of the war, in the what do you call the Indonesian uprising.
Oh, okay.
They apparently did use them in combat. But there is, and I'll talk about this, there is some photographic evidence of this camouflage scheme, as we'll show in a moment. Now, right now on the screen, Robert will show you the box art. This is the Airfix kit in 48 that I use. It's a Mark I F. Now, I'm not an expert in Blenheims, but I use the Mark I F. They have a regular Mark I. The only difference is I don't use the gun pack, the under fuselage gun pack. And again, forgive me, I'm not a Blenheim expert. So I just basically did a Mark I here.
Right.
But I used the Mark I F Airfix kit. And it's the same thing, just omit the gun pack underneath the fuselage. So the Airfix kit came out, it's pretty recent, I think.
It's been 4 or 5 years.
Yeah, least. And you can see the box art on this one. It's beautiful, nicely done. Now
in its native British markings.
In its native British markings, yes, which looks very, very cool. Now, here is the photo which will come up on the screen now. This is a photo of which stumbled upon. I believe it's on the web on the Dutch archives, the Netherlands archives, and you can see this photo is an original from the archives, and the Arawasi group has this on their site too, so kudos to them for having. You can see it's actually a picture of an aircraft graveyard towards the end of the war, probably 46, 47, somewhere in the Dutch East Indies, and it is. You can see closely, there's a number of Japanese aircraft, but if you look at the background, there's a number of Blenheims there. One looks to be a Mark I, and the others are Mark IVs.
Oh.
You can actually see them. And if you look at the photo carefully, on the far right, you can actually see a modified, what looks to be a Mark IV with passenger windows. in the fuselage. It's
Interesting.
in the top right corner, and there's zoomed up photos of it. You can see if you go to the I did an article on this in Scale Aircraft Modeling. You get all the details there. But if you actually Google Japanese Blenheim Netherlands archives, you might come to this photo. Or maybe what we can do, Robert, is I can post the link to the photos and then you can share it when the time comes. And the odd thing is, Dave, with the Blenheim being an aircraft it actually makes little sense to put passenger windows all the way up here because there's nothing in here for it's just all like fuel tanks and things. So nobody really knows and has an idea why they did that.
That's interesting. Now that those are is it? And it's hard to see the picture from here, but are those in Japanese markings?
Yes,
they are.
If you look closely, you can see the remnants of Japanese markings, including the white combat stripe, which is an ID marker for Japanese Army aircraft, and you can see the vestiges of the mottled camouflage. Now, this is my interpretation. It looks as if the RAF colors were left as is and they apply the modeling over it. This is purely my, unless somebody can come up with a definitive.
So it looks like they oversprayed the RAF rondelles with some type of gray and then did the Hinamarus on top. So that's your interpretation.
That's my interpretation. And you look in the photo, you can actually see on the fuselage one, that's what they did. The wing ones, don't know.
So how did you actually spray? Because I can kind of see through the Hinamaru a little bit.
Yes, you can. That's in purpose.
Right.
So I applied the RAF decals.
And then, okay.
And then I did a light Hinamaru with a mask.
Nice.
So it's not a decal. And I did the original RAF camouflage pattern. Again, forgive me, whatever pattern it's called, in RAF standard
like the
colors.
green and brown.
Yes.
Earth brown. Yeah.
The Japanese markings are the combat stripe and then the wing yellow IDs. And again, it's speculative. I can barely make them out.
So I'm looking at the underlying RAF color and the colors look good. So I'm just curious, what paints did you use for the RAF?
I actually used the AK.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they have the AK red on the bottle because I figured, whether perfect or not, by the time you add the modeling on top,
they look. Yeah, it looks.
And you can use any olive green. Yeah, it looks okay. Now here's the underside. Now the underside, I just left it in the original.
Oh, nice.
Dark or black.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's correct. Like, why would the Japanese repaint the undersides into their typical IJA gray, Army gray green? I don't know. So again, speculative. All I do know is that there in photos, they had some Hinamarus applied to them. There is some evidence in the photos that suggest modeling, and therefore they were probably flown. Not necessarily in combat, nobody knows, right? And unless somebody knows and they're watching from that area of the world, please post the comments, because I think it's really a fascinating... it looks like a tiger striped something. It looks very unusual to me. It does. I'm not used to it at all. And it's my interpretation.
And then for the modeling, what airbrush did you use for that?
My usual go-to, I use an Iwata HPB.
So not the custom.
No, I didn't use a custom micron. I only use a custom micron when I do 72nd. But there, I talked earlier. Oh, here's a photo that I zoomed up, and you can see on screen. There it is, right? You can clearly see the combat stripe. Yeah. You can clearly see the Hinamaru. And I would say you can clearly see the previous aria on the fuselage, right?
With the modeling over it.
Yeah. Because why would you do both? And so there appears to be a tail Sentai marking, but then again, that could just be a coincidence of the pattern of the modeling, and I'm not sure.
Hard to tell, yeah.
It almost looks like an 8th Sentai, but it's really hard to tell. I didn't put it on. I just attributed it to the camouflage markings. But look, that clearly shows Japanese markings. Now the nose is gone, so anybody's guess. But there you go. It did exist, and it did have some form of Japanese markings. Now onto the kit. I don't know. I struggle with this kit. And I know there's a lot of people that have done kit builds, but look, for whatever it's worth, I did struggle with it. I had some huge issues with the wing spar not fitting as this photo shows. You can clearly see I had to use clamps to get it's the frame that glues onto the wing, I just couldn't get it to sit snugly into the wing. And
Now, was it the spar or was it the wing?
It's a wing spar internally to get the right dehedral. In the
But
kit.
what was the problem part in the kit? Was it,
I couldn't get that vertical piece to glue onto the wing properly. And see, I had to use clamps.
so that wing spar
Yeah.
determines the proper dihedral. So
Yes.
it's getting the underlying or
Correct.
the bottom part of the wing to conform to that.
Correct.
Got it. Okay.
Right? And here it is, another shot where I had to use clamps just to get some of the basic wing structures in place. I don't know, I really struggle with this kit. And again, it could be me, but it wasn't fitting as well as I thought it would.
That's surprising.
Now that I've clamped the wings and all that, and it's dried, you can see just leaving the outer wings unglued, there's a lot of splay,
Wow.
right? So, I mean, that'll go together with glue, but again, it's not your Tamiya kit. Kudos to Airfix for doing one, but it just, be aware that it just requires a bit of work. That's a shot of the undercarriage, very nicely detailed and very nicely done. And again, you can't really see much when it's all black, but I just thought, and by the way,
That looks good actually.
you know what I use for the stressing and the chipping? I just used a Prismacolor pencil.
Yeah, it looks good.
I didn't use
really
the AK pencils because they're too soft. But Prismacolor does a metallic silver. That's all I needed. And some light washes. You don't need anything. I didn't bother with the gray wash on I just thought it'd be too much. So all that is a light raw umber wash and some chipping. And I just left it. There's a ton of these little decals. What do you call these little markings?
Little stencils.
Stencils under this. I don't know why the British had so many of them, but so that's that. And the turret on the top was a bit of a struggle for me as well. They give you that's the masking you see in the photo. Now this, you see that contraption? That's actually a jig that helps you with the construction of the turret assembly. They give you a little jig since it's so delicate. And I found that a neat addition to the kit. That way you have a perfectly aligned turret basket with all its detail.
Oh, well done.
There it is painted up, although you cannot see it.
No.
Now, a question to you viewers, how many of you guys actually detail that stuff you can't see? I don't. I paint it, but I don't add any you can't see it. The interior, you can't see it.
No, you can't see
And
anything.
the photo shows what I did. Now, whether it's the right color or not, not an area.
It doesn't matter because you can't see it.
I can't see it. You can't see a thing, even with a flashlight. And then the radio back there, I added it. Can't see it. See it in the photo? See the
Oh, yeah.
You can't see it. The front you can, because you've got a total. There it is. You can't see that radio. I can't see it.
The problem is if you're like some modelers, like I can't. Like I just, it's hard for me to leave stuff out and not pay attention to it, even though you can't see it.
I know.
Like it's going to get covered up. It's going to be buried in there.
Yes.
It's going to be entombed forever.
But you got to.
But you got to
do it.
Yeah, I feel like.
Yeah.
So
Now the cockpit you can see. Now there's a view of the cockpit
that's good.
under construction.
Yeah, the cockpit looks nice.
And I use the Yahoo set. I love the Yahoo. I know you use them.
I use, yeah.
You use them all the time, right? As if they're available.
I got a bunch for 109s, right? So they're great.
Beautiful.
Yeah, they're great.
Look, there's a
Cheap
photo
way.
that online that shows
enhancing
you.
them.
Look at it.
Yeah, looks great.
That's cheating. Luckily,
It is a little bit, but who cares?
Throw it in and it's
Looks good.
beautiful.
Scale replica.
Yeah, and I used what is that? A raft or it must be a raft at the rear part. I'm not
I think
sure.
so. They are. Or the
Emergency
pilots
raft or
or
something?
parachute.
I don't know, but I just use oils on that, and that's another shot of the cockpit, right? A beautiful cockpit. Now I had a lot of issues with this canopy. See the pointed nose on the canopy.
Yeah.
Now you notice in the photo the canopy is in two halves. See, so you put one on one side, you put one on the other side. You get it? You see the clear parts?
Yeah, and then you got to join.
And then you got to put them together. That's the engine, by the way. But when I went back to the canopy, when I joined them, that's a glue seam right down the middle there. It's you got to be very careful.
Oof.
Very careful with. So I used white glue because if you use anything else, you might see it, right? So be very careful with that. And I had some finishes.
And did you have to sand it at all? Or?
Yeah, I had to carefully. It's rough. I don't know if there's any other way around it. These are just the, what do you call these? The cowling rings.
Yeah,
I
the
just
brass
used,
rings.
and then again, I use these colors. I don't know if they're right.
Looks good.
And now, like you, I like to model.
Oh wow! What about
Now, I kind of like to. I follow Alan Wilder's stuff, and in the beginning, he said, you know, he used very bright colors. So look what I used. I actually used these very bright colors. The yellow is the base of where the green would go. You see, and then the beige would be where the earth color would go.
Right.
And I just find that when I model on top of that using the masks and the splatter masks, I find it's a very good base to then lightly apply the camouflage colors on top of that. See, this photo shows it now. You see, very light. Don't do it too heavy, otherwise you'll just blow everything together. That's blue tack. Just to
a soft demarcation.
Yes, soft. And they were probably hard in real life, but I just like the artistic.
They were mattes, I think, in real life, weren't they?
Yeah, I think they were.
Yeah.
So they're.
But I agree. I think the softer demarcation just looks aesthetically better.
I think so.
I agree.
And I think the yellow adds a bit of warmth to the undercoat.
Although it's, I mean, you can kind of see it, but you have to look for it because of all the modeling.
Yeah, you do.
Right.
And like you see, there's a finished model, probably better in a photo than you can see it live on the camera. And again, it when I look at it, it doesn't look like a real aircraft. Like I'm not used to that scheme. It looks like a dragonfly.
It looks like a leopard with wings.
Yeah, it's a leopard with wings. I don't quite see that it's real, but hey, at least some of it might have
It's
been.
a neat looking aircraft. Like I've got one in my collection.
You do? Is it the 1F you have?
No, it's the one.
See, there's a close up in the photo that you can get an idea of what it looks like, and I think Brett Green's actually put some of these in an upcoming issue just as a gallery, so stay tuned. It's already in Scale Aircraft Modeling. Forgive me, I don't know the issue, but Gary Hatcher's had it, and he's been great to work with. So shout out to him and Scale Aircraft Modeling. There's a shot of the cockpit. Now the kit does come with a canopy that does open, so that's not me cutting it. It's nice to have.
Very good.
And then you can totally see what's inside.
Yeah. Which you got to do if you're gonna.
I think so.
Put that. I mean, I would do that too.
Right. There's a fuselage shot.
Nice.
Right. The photos just that will add just to complement it. There's the turret. Neat aircraft. I might do this in 72nd in I don't know Japanese marking. See, but do a Mark IV. I don't know. Right. It's all speculative. There's the underside that you can see in the photos.
Looks
as
good.
well. Yeah. And another shot of the underside. And that's it. I think that wraps up. And again, it was really more on the colors than the modification, because I really didn't do anything except add the Yahoo. I didn't do any other aftermarket.
Well, it's an interesting subject. The plane, it's a neat.
Yeah, these were by the way initially shipped. I forgot to mention these were initially shipped by the RAF. I think they had shipped some from the Middle East all to Singapore, right, in Malaya, and that's where they fought bravely. And I think one, forgive me, the pilot escapes from one of VC, but they fought against the Japanese Army Air Force fighters. They did the best they could, but they just couldn't stem the onslaught in 1941.
It's a really neat looking aircraft.
Yeah, it's a beautiful.
Now I have one, and I would do it in like maybe British, but maybe like Battle of France. Like the Low Countries type of thing where they saw some action.
And now a little thing on the colors I mentioned, but I mentioned you before. I just love the Testors Model Master Acryl, the gloss, semi-gloss, and flat, but they don't make it anymore. So I just used that acrylic on this, right? So
good.
I still have a couple of empty bottles, so I'm hoping to bring it back. But any type of, and like you, I like semi. This is a semi-gloss finish.
Yeah, I think matte is too matte.
That's too matte.
Yeah, I agree. Well, it looks good. I mean, it sounds like that was a bit of a challenging build for the with the underlying Airfix kit, but the finished product looks fantastic. Well done.
Next is a Messerschmitt. I think they did a 210 in Japanese markings. And then I'm actually working on a Chinese Hinkle 111 in nationalist markings. So.
Oh, the
the horrible Rodin kit.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the worst kits on the market.
And you're going to do that? I'm
working on. I'm doing a Chinese version of that.
Built to me.
Yes, built to me.
Just built to me.
So there you go.
Fantastic. Well, that's a very unique subject. Mm-hmm. I love the chipping and the weathering you've done on it.
Again, just with a Prismacolor pencil.
Yeah,
that's it.
That's fantastic.
There's not much else there. You could do hairspray in the center, and I might have done that in certain parts just to get the bigger chipping. So I might have just done that on the wing root for the hairspray technique. But the rest of it is Prismacolor pencils. And the Hinamaru's, again, are masked with a circular cutter. The same one you have, which is,
That's great. No,
thank you.
Well done. Yeah, so that's
wraps up another one.
That's it for this episode. Mm-hmm. You have what's that over there? I see. What are you working on there?
Oh, is that for another episode? This is another episode. Stay tuned, okay? But we'll do something on this. What is this? That is a Key 57 Topsy Japanese transport, of which nobody makes a kit. And now I bought the ICM Key 21 and 140. This is 148 scale, of course. There's a size comparison, by the way, right? And this one is taking a while because this is a vacuform fuselage from the old, ready for this? Sanger.
Oh my goodness.
Okay. The wings, all this tail and appendage and the wings and the engine are from the ICM kit. So when I bought
you took a perfectly good brand new ICM kit.
Fuselage.
And ripped out the fuselage.
Gone.
And put in
Fuselage is
gone.
And then, mating the wings. This is actually, what is it, plumber's putty or something? Because don't forget, this is vacuform. So I had to put mounts in here to mount the ICM wings. So you do see an inconsistency in the wing detail and the fuselage because they're different. But I want a Topsy. I'll be the only guy in town with a 148 Topsy, which is Japanese transport. So I have to redo the canopy. I'm vacuforming a new canopy. There's the cockpit, which is it's cannibalized from a Key 21, but it is quite a bit modified and scratched.
That's crazy.
Big aircraft.
It is.
It's going to be natural metal with mottled camouflage. Wow. And they did fly a lot of these in the Pacific.
That's a big aircraft.
They flew a lot of these in the Pacific. But nobody makes one. Sanger makes an old one, but it's rough. So I figured let's use the wings and the tail. So
that's crazy.
We'll do an in progress of this in detail, and then of course the final one as well.
Yeah, I'll just stick to Edward and kits. Thank you very much.
There you go, folks.
Well, that's fascinating. Yeah, looking forward to that. Mm-hmm. We'll look forward to. That's it for today's episode. We'll look forward to seeing everybody in the next one. Take care.